originally in Spanish, July 2023.
A follower's question. Now it turns out that the moon rotates, but you claimed before that we only saw one side of the moon and that it did not rotate where the hologram was projected. If the moon rotated, it would also rotate the hologram that is projected from the moon itself, and we would see the hidden side.
The moon has always rotated and rotates, but at such a speed that it is synchronized with the Earth in such a way that only one side is visible towards the Earth. That synchronization itself is extremely suspicious and points to the fact that it is artificial and was artificially synchronized. If they say it rotates in another way, I am unaware of that.
So I understand that the lunar holograms would be all over the lunar surface, but would only activate when they are visible to Earth?
It just faces the moon. It does not surround it. The phases of the moon are real.
But how does the hologram remain stationary on the moon as it rotates on itself?
The hologram acts as a photographic transparency. Its illumination comes from sunlight reflected on its surface. It only rotates in relation to the Earth. That is, the hologram does not have to move. It is only there 24 hours per 7, and that's it, because it rotates with the moon.
So the moon does not rotate on its own axis? It only rotates around the Earth?
It rotates on its own axis, but at such a speed that it always shows one face towards the Earth. And it is that face that contains the hologram.
Okay, Mari also comments that there is a zone on the moon that is restricted, like in Antarctica from the Earth?
No, the entire moon is a restricted zone, not just a part of it. You can't go near it without special permissions.
And the excuse is radiation.
That's the excuse, yes. However, there is a lot of Federation military ship activity here. That is, Alfratans, among other races that are not very numerous but have a lot of Federation rank, such as the Antarians, Arcturians, and Andromedans.
But, for example, the Teleka scientists are not curious to go to the moon to know what is there, knowing the influence it has on the Earth.
Yes, we've always been curious. They just won't let us. The last time someone here had access to lunar computers was Anneka, at the time when she was part of the ASCA team. Okay, another question from a follower. Mari says at the end of the video that she doesn't see any matrix buildings projected from the moon. So my clarification question is, does the moon project and overlay a digital matrix and artificial intelligence hologram that forms the fake buildings and fake people? Or is human consciousness alone responsible for generating fake buildings and fake people? Anneka also mentioned insertions of entire events digitally. According to Mari, Yaski, and myself, it is the human consciousness that is manifesting everything, directly and indirectly, and not a lunar computer. Yes, Anneka was mentioning inserting events by manipulating the computers. The horrible thing about this is that it is clearly against the rules of the Prime Directive and is considered illegal. However, when Anneka said that, She worked directly for Asket and with that for the Federation itself. That is, she did have access to those facilities and to those computers that manipulate the Matrix. Something that those of us who are left here no longer have. Mari has avoided going in that direction because it is all very murky and we have no clear answers.
I remember that Annika said that with that, you could even create new continents and cities on Earth as if it were a game. But the last thing that we commented was that it is the people themselves who generate all of that. Yes.
As far as we understand, it could not be done at that level, which makes us contradict ourselves. We, three Swaruu here, insist that the moon only propitiates certain types of things to manifest and does not impose them directly, being that it is the humans themselves who manifest everything. Well, Aneka was saying that because at that time they had access to that technology, to do that, not necessarily that it was done, because it was also against the Prime Directive. It's just that for us now, that's a case of the Prime Directive only applying to other people and not to the Federation, that cruelly does whatever it wants. Okay, but then could you say with that life on Earth is not so digital simulation anymore? No, because it turns out that we are all in a simulation, since the Matrix is bigger than just the one on Earth. However, there is an isolated part of that larger Matrix that follows other stricter rules as a matrix within a matrix, and that is Earth. Okay, and another question from a follower. Mari commented about the Federation using time travel all the time, and that maybe that's what they did to install those lunar reactors. I thought that Svarunians believed that time travel was useless, since it only affects the personal timeline of time travelers and not others. It's just conjecture, because it would seem so. And well, yes, you can time travel, but what future of so many will it affect when traveling in the past is the problem. It's just that those reactors are modern, human, even if they have been there a long time. And that they have been there a long time also remains to be seen, because in truth they may be more historical lies, and maybe they were put there only 30 or 40 years ago, or less. We just have no way to be sure of anything. That's why Mari's video says shady things, because there is no way to get concise data, but it is all very suspicious. It seems that the Earth Cabal does work hand in hand and with the help of the Galactic Federation. You mean maybe 30-40 years ago they traveled back in time and put the reactors in so that they have been there for 12,500 years? More like they installed them 30 or 40 years ago, and today they are pushing the historical information as if they were 12,500 years old, which does not fit because of the technology present in those reactors. But if they were only there for 30-40 years, how do you explain the 3D frequencies that are there for thousands of years? Besides you, Swaroos, Yaski, you know that Van Allen bands have been there for thousands of years. It's all the Swaroos fight to counteract that, isn't it? We don't know, because there is no way to obtain that data. But as a conjecture, it could be that the Van Allen frequencies were being removed, and the Cabal propped up those systems with nuclear reactors when the zero-point system stopped working. And how were the Van Allen bands there without these reactor projections from the moon before? I don't quite understand the theory of the reactors being there for 34 years. What was maintaining and creating Van Allen bands and low frequencies before then? That is what we do not know, because they could very well have been powered by zero-point reactors. But since there were failures in them, now they installed atomic reactors to prevent the planet from going up in frequency. But we Svarus insist that this does not really apply, since everything is generated from the mental point of manifestation, and those reactors with their low-frequency projectors only form the setting in which the souls live and from which they learn their life lessons in the terrestrial 3D. And what do you remember of having been present in those times? That there were already the Van Allen bands, but we didn't bother to look for the miners. But logic dictates that they must have been powered by zero-point reactors, as expected. Miners? We didn't see the details back then. That is, we did not inquire about what feeds them, because it is taken for granted that what feeds them is what always feeds everything, zero-point reactors. And if they used to be zero-point, why were they replaced? We don't know, but it may be because their lifetime ended just at this time, or because they are programmed to shut down or fail just at this time of transition. But zero-point reactors can fail? It is a complex machine. With the abandonment, yes, they can fail.
Zero-point reactors also created those Van Allen bands that kept the Earth in 3D? I thought only nuclear reactors could do that in the same way that they do on Earth with nuclear power plants in ley lines.
This is another suspicious connection that makes us think that they were put in place at the same time as the ley line reactors. It is already known that the Cabal is just another level of the Galactic Federation. But if the Federation would be cooperating with the Cabal with those reactors, they would put other zero-point reactors, wouldn't they? They wouldn't let the Cabal come and install nukes. What for, if they cooperate with the Cabal and have better technology? Why not replace the failed ones with other zero-point reactors? We don't know the answer, but speculating, it could be because there was an alternate group that doesn't quite go along with what the Federation dictates. We don't know. Because zero-point reactors are easier to install than nuclear ones, so their presence doesn't make sense. However, there they are. Okay, and Tina, very quickly, the question related to all this. Someone asked why Mari uses the word nuclear reactors, nuclear weapons on Tiamat, etc., if it was also said that there were no nuclear weapons. Is it just to get the point across because there is no other word? It's just that here is what happens. The information on which Mari based her video does say nuclear weapons and nuclear reactors. That is suspicious to us because, as Mari also says, we have serious doubts about the functioning of nuclear energy, both for bombs and for energy. So, as Mari also says, that information from the Federation may be inaccurate or they are lying, as it happens with the imposition of false historical information on Earth. That is, false history on Earth and in space, because it comes from the same people. So it is not Mari who says nuclear weapons and nuclear reactors. It is the information of the Federation who states it, and on which Mari based her videos. I understand. And why not ask the Andromedans themselves about the reactors, just to see what they say? Asking Andros something like that is like asking NASA about space stuff. They never give you a satisfactory answer, and always refer to the official in the Federation. And in the Andromedan language it says nuclear? Yes, it says nuclear. And then there is that, which Mari also says, that there is evidence of nuclear detonations on Earth, although they may also be the product of more advanced energy weapons. And what do they mean by the term nuclear? Nuclear in the same context as it would be used on Earth, referring to electrical power plants and weaponry.
Athena, the question on many people's minds. What would happen if the Van Allen bands were disconnected? What would happen to Earth, its orbit, its biology? Would it all ascend and all of that? I don't refer to the ascension of humans. The poor things already have enough with the collective unconscious.
I don't see anything spectacular happening. The same people with their collective unconscious would sustain the matrix as they are. However, it will be a more conducive environment in terms of frequencies for something more positive to develop, or a more positive trend in the same terrestrial collective unconscious. Removing the Van Allen bands will not improve things directly, but it will be more conducive, because also without the Van Allen bands, the frequency soup of the region would affect and raise the frequencies of the Earth more. But I insist that it is the people who generate their reality and realities, not the Van Allen bands or any computer on the moon.
But we would have a change of magnetic axis? A pole shift?
Removing the Van Allen bands would not be enough to bring about a pole reversal.
But if we remove the moon, yes, right?
Removing the moon, yes, that would bring tremendous chaos.
So it would be good to remove the Van Allen bands, because the consequences for the planet seem to be all positive.
Yes, I don't see the point of having that there, more than to propitiate the etheric barrier for the souls, although that also remains to be seen. We don't agree with what is said there either. Well, it was also to prevent the regressive races from leaving with their more primitive ship technology. That is also said, yes, and it works very limitedly because they go in and out as they want using portals.
So the moon and the Van Allen bands are two things. I thought they were part of the same, that the bands were like the moon's anchor to Earth.
No, the moon generates the bands by altering the Earth's natural magnetosphere. But the moon stays there of its own accord, obeying dynamics of spatial equilibrium and orbit velocity, which needs to be corrected every so often, by the way.
Well, then they could remove them, yes, the bands. It wouldn't affect the lunar hologram at all to remove them either, would it?
That's right. It does not affect the hologram. The Van Allen bands and the hologram are two different lunar systems. One more thing. Even if it was the Cabal that installed the reactors, they do have zero-point energy. Why not install them directly? That's right. The reactors don't fit. But we don't have the answer to that. Okay, I'm just saying that the mere presence of this type of reactors doesn't have to signal that they are the Cabals, because those have zero-point technology as well. And if it is them, it has to obey some concrete reason why those reactors and not others. No, but listen, it can point out that they were put there by a government from the level that does not yet have access to zero-point reactors. Although it's all intertwined, yes. That is, a government that can go to the moon is under the control of the level that does have zero-point reactors. This is speculation, but we have no more data.
Because it is the Earth Cabal that runs on money, perhaps.
Yes, that's right, Tina, but they wouldn't do it without the Federation's permission, would they? And if the Federation allowed it, why didn't they just offer the zero-point energy continuum that was there before? Or maybe regressive races did it without the Federation's permission, those who still don't have access to zero-point. Making some kind of deal with the Federation? Yes, the Federation has to know about this. That's right. From Yaski just now. They can go to the moon using portals and put that there behind the Federation's back, which allows it because it's still within Earth jurisdiction. Something tells me Yaski has the answer with that one. Plus, she said it with a face of obviousness and rolling eyes.
Okay, do you know how long the Van Allen bands have been around the Earth? Maybe not that long.
Officially for 12,500 years.
So the Van Allen bands could be a reaction of the human cabal because they know that in this way they further cement the collective unconscious that they are enforcing on the population.
The question would be who exactly? It would have to be someone who does not have zero-point energy. The Cabal, the secret space program level. But those had zero-point energy. Or maybe back then they didn't? Maybe not. Or maybe they didn't want the contractors who physically put that on the moon to know about the zero-point energy. Humans? Human technicians? The subcontractors who fabricate things on behalf of governments. And contractors. Why put zero-point reactors when you can just as easily put nuclear ones in the minds of those government people? They perform the same function, yes? Yes, same function. As Yas says, it's easier to get civilian contractors to put reactors through a portal, and they didn't even know they were on the moon, as they were going in and out of a portal, in the Mojave Desert, for example.
Okay, those reactors, their function is only to maintain the hologram and the Van Allen bands, or only the hologram. Or what exactly?
I understand that they power the hologram and the Van Allen bands, plus minor alternate systems on the moon. Another possibility is that the Van Allen bands are different today or have different characteristics than they did before the installation of those nuclear plants. That is, the Van Allen bands would have a stable strength there for thousands of years, and they put in the reactors to increase the strength and effect of the Van Allen bands.
But we don't know their function. Or maybe their function is because they were known to produce the veil of forgetfulness, so we could enter the Earth to experience being human? Because that's what this is all about.
In a certain way, they do help to produce the veil of forgetfulness, because they lower the general frequency of the place, of the entire planet, which makes it difficult to link the frequencies of the afterlife. In other words, forgetfulness is generated when entering a human body in the same way that dreams are forgotten, because of an incompatibility of frequencies. Yes. Another thing, if they decided to put in the nuclear ones, it is because they felt there was a need. Why would they feel that? Were things already changing for the better on the planet Earth? You know what, Tina? It makes sense that the starseed waves started coming in just 50, 60 years ago. It's no coincidence. Right around the time those nuclear plants were probably installed. They put those reactors in these years to cement the matrix, and then the starseed souls decide to incarnate here. From the higher level, the souls knew what they were doing and what they came here for. They came to combat the work of those reactors, to be a mental counterbalance for the planet. Otherwise, why the waves of starseeds in the last 50 years? I would not say to counteract the reactors, but to counteract all the negativity that was happening during these last years of humanity. Yes, but knowing that the reactors are put there to further cement the negativity, that could have inspired them to incarnate here even more. Yes, placed there as to shore up a dissipating frequency, or to increase the strength of the bands to counteract the entry of the starseeds. As a measure, same thing as terraforming reactors on the ley lines. Yes, I feel that the lunar reactors are related to those above the ley lines.
But how did they know that so many starseeds were coming in? A tip-off from the Federation?
Since they were entering in quantity, then they put in those reactors.